Gaming Manual.
QuackShot, with its Indiana Jones-inspired Metroidvania, it's a great game for anyone looking for a shorter Metroid-style game. It can be comfortably beaten in just a couple of hours. It is also very generous with the one-ups that can be found and earned through collecting points. It's on the easier side for comparable video games of its time. However, I still find it enjoyable, even replaying it every couple of years. Hey everyone, this is Josh from the Gaming Manual. Today, we will be taking a look at QuackShot, starring Donald Duck for the Sega Genesis. QuackShot is an excellent example of a 16-bit Disney game. The game was influenced by Indiana Jones films, and it mixes platforming, exploration with puzzle solving, with backtracking that later becomes better known as Metroidvania. This design is very fluid and has nice detailed Disney visual, and is well worth playing. The story for the game is, while Uncle Scrooge naps, Donald Duck is flipping through some old books in his library. A map falls out relating to a great treasure to a ruler of the Great Duck Kingdom in ancient times. The map leads to the location of the king's most prized possession, hidden in a secret place shortly before his death. Donald thinks this is his path to riches. Unfortunately, Big Bad Pete overhears and pursues Donald throughout the game, hoping to steal the treasure for himself. You can run by holding down the dash button, but I find it a lot faster and safer if you just slide. You can do this by holding down and pressing the jump button. You can even chain the slides together to form a longer slide once you've mastered it. Using this is the primary means for moving throughout most of the game. Knowing and understanding them beforehand will provide for a better gaming experience while you are playing this game. Very basic platforming here, but there are some mechanics to watch out for. Primarily the quicksand, as well as stunning your enemies. Most levels will have sections with either moving terrains or platforms, and sometimes both. But all levels typically have one area dedicated to this. On your return visit, after getting the key to the temple, you explore the temple, which has a heavily Indiana Jones feel to it. The first half of this level is spent getting to the palace, and past those snake charmers that can stun you with their musical notes, guaranteeing that you take some damage. The second area you can actually do right away. It's a maze that can loop endlessly if you don't figure out the right path to take. If you know where you are going, it's not too bad, but it took a lot of failed attempts to remember the correct doors to go in and in what order. The final door actually leads to another boss fight with a familiar looking tiger. This one actually has a save spot, making it one of the easiest boss fights in the game. Once you defeat the tiger, your reward is the green plunger. Egypt feels a lot like the Aztec ruin, but harder. Same traps and enemies, even the temple, in terms of its puzzles and difficulties, is laid out the same way. The level is more challenging, and it does have some slightly harder puzzles to solve. There is even a ceiling trap that can crush you if you didn't read the map to figure out the proper order, which is the sun, moon, and then star. Throughout here, the best thing to do is always hold right. Most of what you're doing is just holding right. A lot of these traps have a timer on them, so really, it's more of a time-based challenge. The mandatory ice level. You definitely want to use this first section to get a feeling of how Donald will handle on the ice. This level can burn through lives very quickly. Your first trip isn't going to be too difficult, as it's mostly just dealing with enemies on slopes. But your return trip is when it's really going to matter. At the end, you're going to find a key trapped in a block of ice. But if you followed along so far, we'll have the staff, so we can go ahead and melt the ice right away. This is a straightforward level. There are a few places where it feels like you're going to have to take a hit due to enemy placement or how the slope is laid out. At the end of the first section, you'll need to use the plunger to climb up the wall to trigger the transition into the next area. Once again, it's a straightforward shot. There's not a lot of tricks or traps here, mostly just dealing with enemy and some platform. In fact, A lot of the enemies and a lot of difficulty in this level can be overcome simply by taking it slow. Once you get to the third section, you'll encounter a locked door, but we already have the key, so we can get in. And the Viking promises to provide you with the diary, should we agree to help him get his ship back. The second area is once again a maze. You can loop through endlessly until you find the door in the middle. If you envision this part as a 3x3 grid, you are trying to get the middle, and you start in the upper left. To get to the middle, you have to get to the middle right side first. The quickest way? Well, there isn't one. You can either go along the right and down one, or along the bottom. And you'll be able to make your way over to a pile of boxes, but turns out some of them are transparent and you can walk right through them. The boss here is a little bit harder, as you actually have to take your time and aim your shots. You have to hit the boss when he peeks his head out over the shield. Hitting the shield will do nothing, and your plunger will just fall right off. And when you talk to him, turns out he doesn't have the diary. It's actually in the South Pole. Thanks a lot. On your return visit, you'll have to use the green plunger to attach it to a flying bird, one that is flying to the right. Once you do so, you can grab on, and then you can control the bird by pressing up or down, but you can only move vertically. The best thing to do here is to stick to the upper part of the screen. There will be a few that come near the top part. You want to make sure you give yourself enough space to dodge upward or down. Now is for the worst part of the game. The best chance to get through here is to run non-stop. You need to learn when to jump so you don't get hit by the whale. But both the whale and water are almost guaranteed instant death. The water will kill you instantly, and the whale only hurts you, but often leads you into slipping into water, leading to an instant death. Rather than trying to fight the slippery physics, it's best to just go with it. In this last section, it's a loop around. Just be sure that you have the maximum amount of the bubblegum shooter arrow, as you'll need it to break the blue ice, including to get the diary itself. Once you get the diary and make your way topside, Big Bad Pete will be in his plane and tell you that he kidnapped your nephews. So now you have to go to his hideout. The last two levels, Big Bad Pete Gang Hideout and the Great Duck Treasure Island, will require all of the skills that you've gathered up until this point in order to clear them. I can go into a step-by-step guide if there's enough demand for it in the comments. QuackShot, with its Indiana Jones-inspired Metroidvania, it's a great game for anyone looking for a shorter Metroid-style game. It can be comfortably beaten in just a couple of hours. It is also very generous with the 1-ups that can be found and earned through collecting points. It's on the easier side for comparable video games of its time. However, I still find it enjoyable, even replaying it every couple of years. This is Josh from the Gaming Manual. If you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Let us know of your opinion of the game in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.
Gaming Manual